December 17, 1903. Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina. Two men stand on a windswept beach. They're about to attempt something every scientist in the world has declared impossible. They have no engineering degrees, no university training, no institutional approval. They run a bicycle shop, and in 47 seconds, they will prove that credentials don't determine capability. They will prove that tools plus determination can defeat expertise plus arrogance. They will prove a pattern that's repeating right now, in 2026, with artificial intelligence. This is the History Disruptors, where history's darkest moments of rejection become humanity's greatest lessons in persistence. I'm your narrator. And if this is your first time here, subscribe now. Because every week we prove that the impossible is just the improbable, waiting for the right person. Today's story isn't ancient history. It's a blueprint, a proof, a pattern. Because if they did it with bicycle parts and wooden wings, you can do it with AI and discipline. Let's see how. 1899. The Victorian era. Humanity has conquered steam power, electricity, the telegraph. But flight? Absolutely impossible. And the experts have proof. Lord Kelvin, President of the Royal Society, Britain's most prestigious scientific institution, declares, quote, "Heavier-than-air flying machines are impossible." End quote. Simon Newcomb, American astronomer and mathematician, publishes calculations proving that human flight violates the laws of physics. He writes, quote, "Flight by machines heavier than air is impractical and insignificant, if not utterly impossible." End quote. The Smithsonian Institution, America's foremost scientific body, funds Samuel Langley, a respected astronomer with a PhD, to build a flying machine. They give him $70,000. That's over $2 million in today's money. Langley has credentials. Langley has funding. Langley has institutional backing. The Wright brothers? They have a bicycle shop in Dayton, Ohio. And they're self-taught. Wilbur Wright's education ended after high school. Orville Wright never even finished high school. They learned mechanics by fixing bicycles. When Wilbur writes to the Smithsonian requesting information about flight research, the response is polite but dismissive. These bicycle mechanics want to fly. Charming. Naive. Impossible. But here's what the experts didn't understand about the Wright brothers. They had something more valuable than credentials. They had a method. The Wright brothers' secret weapon. Wilbur and Orville didn't just dream about flying. They studied it like engineers, even though they weren't engineers. They read everything. Every paper. Every experiment. Every failure by others. Otto Lilienthal's glider experiments in Germany. Octave Charnut's work in America. Every documented attempt at flight. But they didn't just read. They questioned. Lilienthal's data on wing shapes? The Wright brothers tested it. Built their own wind tunnel out of bicycle parts. Discovered Lilienthal's measurements were wrong. Charnut's assumptions about control? The Wright brothers challenged them. Developed their own three-axis control system. This is crucial. The credentialed experts were building on assumptions. The Wright brothers were building on testing. No university told them to question Lilienthal. No institution funded their wind tunnel. They did it because they were trying to understand flight, not trying to have correct credentials. And they had tools. Bicycle technology gave them lightweight metal tubing, chain drives, precision fabrication skills. Their bicycle shop was their laboratory. The experts had universities. The Wright brothers had a bicycle shop and the freedom to fail. And fail they did. 1899 to 1903. 4 years. Over 1,000 test flights. Let that number sit with you. 1,000 failures. Most people quit after 3. The Wright brothers were just getting started. Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. They chose it for the wind. Consistent winds for glider testing. Isolated location where they could fail privately. Because they knew they'd fail. A lot. First glider, 1900. Barely lifted off the ground. Wings wrong shape. Control surfaces inadequate. Complete redesign needed. The experts would have called this a failure. The Wright brothers called it data. Second glider, 1901. Better lift, but still wrong. Turns were unpredictable. Stability was terrible. Back to the drawing board. Most university programs would have cut funding by now. But the Wright brothers were funding themselves. $30 to $50 per trip to Kitty Hawk. That's their bicycle shop profits. Their livelihood, invested in wooden wings that kept crashing. Here's where it gets interesting. 1901. After the second glider fails, Wilbur is ready to quit. He tells Orville, quote, "Not within 1,000 years will man ever fly." End quote. Even the Wright brothers thought it was impossible. But Orville convinces Wilbur to try one more thing. Build a wind tunnel. Test wing shapes systematically. Stop guessing, start measuring. So they build a wind tunnel out of a wooden box and a bicycle part to spin the wings. It's crude. It's homemade. It works. They test over 200 different wing shapes. Record everything. Discover that all the published data about lift and drag? Wrong. The experts had been building on incorrect assumptions for decades. The Wright brothers proved it with bicycle parts and rigorous testing. The pattern: tools plus method plus persistence. This is the pattern. Pay attention. The Wright brothers didn't have more natural talent than the experts. They had better tools for their specific problem. Bicycle technology was cutting edge in 1900. Lightweight metal. Precision bearings. Chain drives. Exactly what you need for flight. Samuel Langley was using heavy engine technology. The Wright brothers were using bicycle technology. Different tools, different results. They didn't have more intelligence than the PhDs. They had better method. The experts theorized. The Wright brothers tested. The experts published papers. The Wright brothers crashed gliders and took notes. Theory versus iteration. Credentials versus experimentation. And they didn't have more funding. They had more persistence. Langley had $70,000 from the Smithsonian. The Wright brothers had bicycle shop profits. Maybe $1,200 total over 4 years. But Langley quit after his funded attempts failed. The Wright brothers kept going on their own money. Because they weren't trying to prove they were right. They were trying to understand flight. December 8, 1903, the expert fails. 9 days before the Wright brothers succeed, Samuel Langley makes his final attempt. The Great Aerodrome. Funded by the Smithsonian. Designed by a credentialed astronomer. Launched from a houseboat on the Potomac River in Washington, D.C. The press is there. The scientific community is watching. This is the official attempt at human flight. The great aerodrome launches. Immediately nosedives. Crashes into the Potomac. Complete failure. The New York Times writes an editorial declaring that human flight will require, quote, 1 million to 10 million years of further evolution, end quote. The experts have failed. The dream is dead. It's official. 9 days later, 2 bicycle mechanics proved them wrong. Before we get to those 47 seconds that changed everything, pause with me for a moment. Drop a comment below. Tell me, are you the credentialed expert building on assumptions? Or are you the bicycle mechanic testing everything? Because this story only matters if it changes how you approach your impossible dream. And if you want to explore why accessible tools create both collapse and renaissance, visit at A Trillion Doors. Yesterday's episode explores the exact pattern we're proving today. Link in the description. Now, December 17th, 1903. Let's witness history. December 17th, 1903. Kill Devil Hills. 4 witnesses. Local life-saving station crew. No press. No scientists. No officials. The Wright brothers aren't trying to prove anything to anyone. They're testing their third-powered aircraft. The Flyer 1. They've solved the problems through iteration. Wing shape perfected through wind tunnel testing. 3-axis control system designed through glider crashes. Engine built in their bicycle shop because nobody would sell them one light enough. 12 horsepower. 180 pounds. Hand built by bicycle mechanics. 10:35 a.m. Orville lies prone on the lower wing. Wilbur runs alongside holding the wing tip to steady it. The Flyer 1 accelerates down the rail. Lifts off. Flies. 12 feet high. 120 feet distance. 47 seconds in the air. 47 seconds that prove every expert wrong. 4 flights that day. The 4th goes 852 feet. 59 seconds. Controlled, sustained, powered flight. They did it. 2 bicycle mechanics with no credentials did what PhDs said was impossible. The response: silence and disbelief. Here's the part that should terrify you. The Wright brothers immediately send telegrams to newspapers. We have flown. Controlled flight achieved. Come see. The press ignores them. Bicycle mechanics claiming to fly? Sure. Right after the serious scientist just failed? Obviously a hoax. The Smithsonian refuses to acknowledge it. They've just invested $70,000 in Langley. They're not about to admit 2 uneducated bicycle mechanics succeeded where their credentialed expert failed. The US military isn't interested. The French aviation experts call it American lying. The British Royal Society dismisses it as impossible. Even the Dayton, Ohio newspaper, their own hometown paper, refuses to cover it. The Wright brothers keep flying. 1904, 1905. They perfect the Flyer. Flights of 39 minutes. 24 miles. And still, the experts refuse to believe. It takes until 1908, 5 years after the first flight, for the world to finally admit that 2 bicycle mechanics did the impossible. The deeper lesson. Here's what this story reveals about expertise and credentials. The credentialed experts failed because they approached flight as a theoretical problem. Calculate the physics. Design the machine. Launch it. The Wright brothers approached flight as an iterative problem. Test. Crash. Learn. Modify. Test again. The experts needed their design to work because their reputation depended on it. The Wright brothers needed to understand why it didn't work so they could improve it. The experts had everything: funding, facilities, institutional support, prestigious degrees. The Wright brothers had tools, method, and freedom to fail. And the freedom to fail turned out to be more valuable than the pressure to succeed. Because here's the secret about expertise that the 1900 establishment didn't understand. Expertise isn't credentials. Expertise is 10,000 hours of deliberate practice with rapid feedback loops. The Wright brothers got feedback every time a glider crashed. Langley got feedback after his funding ran out. The Wright brothers tested 200 wing shapes in their homemade wind tunnel. Langley used theoretical calculations from published papers. Iteration beats theory. Testing beats credentials. And sometimes the freedom that comes from not being taken seriously is the greatest gift of all. The democratization pattern. Yesterday, on A Trillion Doors, we explored a question. When AI makes expertise accessible to everyone, does expertise still mean anything? Or did we just democratize mediocrity? The Wright brothers are the answer. 1900 was the moment bicycle technology democratized access to flight research. Suddenly, you didn't need a university laboratory. You needed a bicycle shop and determination. The tools became accessible. Lightweight materials. Precision fabrication. Chain drives. And two people without credentials used those accessible tools to solve what credentialed experts said was impossible. But here's the crucial distinction. The Wright brothers didn't use accessible tools to avoid learning. They used accessible tools to learn faster. Their bicycle shop let them iterate faster than university bureaucracy would allow. Their homemade wind tunnel let them test faster than academic publishing would permit. Their freedom from institutional oversight let them question assumptions that credentialed experts couldn't challenge. Democratization didn't make them mediocre. It made them faster. This is the pattern. This is the blueprint. This is the proof. WRIGHT as the modern bicycle shop. 2026. Artificial intelligence is doing what bicycle technology did in 1900. It's democratizing access to capabilities that used to require credentials. You don't need a Stanford degree to code anymore. AI can teach you and help you iterate. You don't need an MIT engineering credential to design. AI can help you model and test. The question isn't whether this democratization is happening. It already happened. The gates fell. The question is how you use it. Path 1. The Langley path. Use AI to replace learning. Copy without understanding. Get results without wisdom. This is democratized mediocrity. Path 2. The Wright brothers path. Use AI to accelerate learning. Iterate failures faster. Question assumptions quicker. Get results and understanding. This is democratized mastery. Same tools. Different approaches. Different outcomes. The choice: your relationship with tools. The Wright brothers had a specific relationship with their tools. They didn't worship bicycle technology. They didn't fear it. They used it. They understood it. They bent it to their purpose. Their wind tunnel was built from bicycle parts, but they understood aerodynamics. Their flyer used bicycle chain drives, but they understood propulsion. They used tools to enhance their learning, not to replace it. This is the relationship you need with AI. Not dependence. Not avoidance. Partnership. Use AI like the Wright brothers used their wind tunnel. To test faster. To fail faster. To learn deeper. Use AI to ask questions you couldn't ask before. To iterate through solutions at impossible speed. To challenge assumptions that experts take for granted. The Wright brothers failed 1,000 times with bicycle parts. They didn't use tools to avoid failure. They used tools to fail faster and learn from each one. That's the pattern. That's the blueprint. If they did, you can too. December 17th, 1903.
Let's test this camber. Agreed. Prepare the tunnel.
Mechanics
running AI sim on the new camber. Observe the flow.
They proved that
lift up 10% next iteration.
From
a clear improvement.
Places when
let's test this camber. Agreed. Prepare the tunnel.
Proved that
running AI sim on the new camber. Observe the flow.
They proved that
lift up 10% next iteration. A clear improvement.
Pressure to succeed. They proved that accessible tools in determined hands can accomplish what exclusive credentials in comfortable offices cannot.
What seems impossible is merely possible waiting to be revealed.
You have tools the
Wright brothers
couldn't
proved this,
imagine.
turning dreams of flight into
AI
reality.
that can help
Remember,
you learn anything.
nothing is impossible.
Access to expertise that used to be locked behind university walls. The question isn't whether you have access. You do. The question is what relationship you have with that access. Will you use AI like Langley used his funding? To prove you're right without learning why? Or will you use AI like the Wright brothers used bicycle technology? To test assumptions, iterate failures, and build mastery through understanding? The proof and the promise. Yesterday on A Trillion Doors. Threshold asked whether AI democratization would create collapse or renaissance. Today, history provides the answer. Both are possible. Your choice determines which. The credentialed experts of 1900 created collapse. They had resources, prestige, funding. They failed because they approached innovation as validation of existing assumptions. The uncredentialed bicycle mechanics created renaissance. They had tools, method, persistence. They succeeded because they approached innovation as questioning of all assumptions. The tools are neutral. The credentials are irrelevant. The relationship, the approach, the method, that determines everything. 47 seconds of flight on December 17, 1903, proved a pattern. Accessible tools plus rigorous method plus relentless iteration equals breakthrough. That pattern worked in 1903. It works in 2026. The difference? The Wright brothers had to build their own wind tunnel. You have AI. The similarity? The Wright brothers had to choose to learn through iteration. So do you. If they could democratize flight with bicycle parts and wooden wings, you can democratize anything with AI and discipline. The doors are open. The tools are in your hands. The pattern is proven. The question is, what will you build? If this story changed how you see the impossible, subscribe to the History Disruptors. Every week, we find the proof that they did it, so you know you can too. And visit at A Trillion Doors, where yesterday's episode asked the question today's story answers. When AI democratizes expertise, will you be Langley or the Wright brothers? Will you build on assumptions, or test everything? Drop a comment. Tell me your impossible dream. The one everyone says can't be done. Because if two bicycle mechanics could fly, you can do anything. This is the History Disruptors, where history's darkest moments of rejection become humanity's greatest lessons in persistence. If they did, you can too. Subscribe, comment, and choose your path.